Hi guys, we're going to learn about heat today, so I'm gonna go right ahead and start. We're gonna learn two topics. We covered 4.1 to 4.3 in the last one in chapter 4 part 1, and we're gonna continue chapter 4.4 and chapter 4.5 in this video. So here we go. 4.4 is going to be about the transfer of heat, and then 4.5 is going to be about clothes for summer and winter. So that's a little exciting, fun little chapter that we're going to cover this time around. Let's get started with the first topic of today, transfer of heat. So I'm going to go right ahead and give you two examples. The first example being, you might have observed that a frying pan becomes hot when kept on a flame. And that's because the heat from the flame passes on to the utensil. So that's an example of transfer of heat. The second example would be when the pan is removed from the fire, it slowly cools down. So why does it cool down? The heat is transferred from the pan to the surroundings. From both the cases, we can understand that the heat flows from a hotter object, which in this case is our flame, to a colder object, which in this situation is our frying pan. There are three types of heat transfer. So I'm going to go right ahead and give you the three types of heat transfer. The first one being conduction, the second one being convection, and the third one being radiation. We're going to learn more about these three in the next slides that are to come. Conduction is the process by which heat is transferred from the hotter end to the cooler end of an object. Heat transfer through the process of conduction occurs in substances which are in direct contact with each other. So generally this occurs in solids, like for example when we talked about the flame and the pan, that's direct contact because the flame, when you are heating something up on your stove, is directly touching the pan. For example, or another example as we've discussed the other one previously, when ironing clothes, the heat from the hot iron is transferred to the cold clothes. You're directly touching the hot iron onto your cold clothes in order to remove creases and just roll out the little crinkles and stuff on there. Another example of conduction would be the engine of a car is turned on and the hood becomes warm due to the conduction of heat. If you've ever stopped after driving for a long time and leaned against the hood of your car, which is the top of your car or like the front side of your car where the headlights are, it's generally hot. You get a little sting and you go off. It's because the engine of the car is in direct contact with the hood of the car and it heats up the hood of the car. The materials which allow heat to pass through them are called conductors. Gold, copper, aluminum, iron, silver, and steel are all examples of conductors. The materials which do not allow heat to pass through them are called insulators. So these examples that I'm going to give you, or insulators that I'm going to give you, don't allow heat to go through them. Glass, paper, rubber, plastic, wood, and styrofoam. Insulators are often also used to contain the cold on the outside. So if you've ever been in colder weather or just in an environment that snows usually, you'll see that there is an insulation, is what they call it, between the wall that you see and the wall that's on the outside of the house because it wants to keep the house warm, which the cold won't allow if it touches right away, if it touches the outside wall right away. So they put in insulators to keep the house environment safe from the cold or environment that is on the outside. Convection is the method of transferring heat by the movement of particles of substances away from the source of heat. So when water is heated, the water near the flame gets hot, and hot water rises up. The cold water from the sides move down towards the source of the heat. This water also gets hot and rises, and water from the sides move down. This process continues till the whole water gets heated. So if you've ever heated water, what's happening is first the water at the bottom or near the flame is going to get hot. And those hot particles, because heat rises, is going to move up. And then the water that is still cold and is on the sides is going to move downward. And that's going to heat. And then this part's going to move up. And the other sides are going to go down. And this process is going to continue over and over and over again until all of the water is heated. Here's a little diagram or visual representation of what we just talked about. As you can see, the warm molecules, which are represented by the little red arrows, are moving up, and the cool molecules, which are represented by the blue arrows, are moving down. And this process is going to continue on and on until all of the molecules, or the little arrows, are red or warm. Radiation, our third type of transfer of heat. The transfer of energy as electromagnetic waves is called radiation. The transfer of heat by radiation does not require any medium, so it doesn't need like a pan or something in order for it to get heated. It can take place whether a medium is present or not. All hot bodies radiate heat. So you, me, everyone, we all radiate heat, except reptiles, they're cold-blooded. When this heat falls on some object, a part of it is reflected, a part is absorbed, and a part may be transmitted. Transmitted means passing on from one person or place to another person or place, depending on what we're talking about. For example, the heat transferred through a campfire is a form of radiation. It's a type of heat one feels when sitting in front of a fireplace or around a campfire. If you've ever been in a cold place, sometimes to warm up, your parents or your grandparents will set up a fire. You're not touching that fire, but you still feel its heat. That's radiation. This is another easy example to remember for radiation. Waves emitted from a microwave are also a form of radiation. When you put in food to warm up in your microwave, the little rectangular box is not touching your food, but the heat that's emitted from the microwave is radiation that is warming up your food. On to our fun little topic of heat, clothes for summer and winter. So we always dress for different weather, right? In the summer, you want to wear clothes like cotton, linen, rayon, stuff that's going to keep you cooler. And in the winter, you're going to wear materials like wool or fur, something that's going to keep you warm, that's going to trap in the heat in your body. We all know that the weather during the summer is warm or hot, and especially if you live in the tropical areas of India, it's extremely hot. So it's advised to wear lighter colored clothing so we don't attract any heat towards us. The highest temperature during the summer is usually 40 degrees, and the lowest around 21 degrees. 40 degrees is very, very hot, and this is in Celsius, you guys. So the clothes that people would suggest for the summer would be hats to protect your face from the radiation of the sun. Remember what radiation is? Radiation is when no material is needed in order for heat to be transferred onto you or transmitted onto you. So although the sun is not something we're touching, it can still heat up our body. So you're going to wear a hat to protect your face from that, and also it's just good to protect yourself from the sun's radiation because it can be a cause for later diseases. Lighter clothing like dresses or flowy materials that can let some air in, or just simple shirts. Light colored clothes reflect most of the heat that falls on them, and therefore we feel more comfortable wearing them in the summer. So if you're wearing white, it's going to reflect more heat off of you, and that's going to keep you cooler in the summer. Some examples of winter clothing. In winter, we usually prefer warm, dark clothing as the temperature outside is colder. So people would usually wear sweaters, woolen clothes, scarves, and other things in the winter to protect them from the cold, because you want to keep all of the heat you have trapped in your body. You want to keep warm. The highest temperature in winter is usually 20 degrees, and the lowest can go down up to -10 degrees or even below that. So some clothes that you're suggested to wear in the winter would be some boots, some scarves, some jackets, usually woolen, gloves, just things you can keep your body insulated from the cold. Remember what insulation is? Insulation is when you are protecting the outside yourself from the outside environment. So the heat or the cold in this matter is not going to get transferred onto you. Dark surfaces absorb more heat, and therefore we feel comfortable with dark colored clothes in the winter. So whenever you wear black, you're more likely to feel hotter because you're going to absorb the sun's heat or whatever environment you are in. I hope that was fun, and that was super short too, so this is a quick little lesson. I hope to see you guys on the next one. Have good days, you guys.